Welcome everybody. The first trading day of the last trading week of April. Can't believe I just said that. Welcome to the closing bell here at MarketStream.live. My name is Joseph Cusick with the Cusick Group Securities offered by MoneyBlock, and it has been one heck of a day. The bulls, they reared their horns, but folks, I got to tell you, reality's going to start kicking in one of these days. The French elections cannot be the catalyst for this market. Let's just review what happened today, and we'll get into the brass tacks of what's really going on and maybe give you some transparency. Dow Jones finished the day up 216 points at 20,763.90. You can clearly see that it's now over its 20 and 50-day moving averages right here. That's a big push for the bulls. This close above that 20-day moving average now has the bulls on the short-term basis very much so in control. Taking a look at the S&P 500, similar action. See it up 25 points, up 1.08% at 2,374.20. Again, above that level of the 20-day moving average and 50-day moving average. The bulls took control. Sounding like a broken record, the Nasdaq. Now, this one isn't so much of a broken record because the Nasdaq has been one of the best performing indices, has been the best performing index in the U.S. markets. It finished today off of its highs but above its open, which we're consistently seeing today. But remember, this was on light volume as well. But finishing up 66 points at 1.21% at 55.08. So it's over that 5,500 mark. That psychological mark has been important for the bulls. And boy, did they blow through it today. Taking a look, though, at the Russell 2000, finished off of its best levels, but still, this was the best performing index of the day, up 1.31%. This small cap index is up $18.08 at 1,397.42. An impressive move in small caps. And again, I think this was a combination of both short covering and buying those names that were beat up quite badly over the last 5 or 6 sessions. You saw that there was actually a little bit of a jump ahead of this before we came out with the first vote in the presidential elections in France. But we also have the session resuming for Congress. They're coming back after a well-deserved break. You know, they needed a spring break after being in gridlock for the last 100 days. And we have a spending bill that needs to be figured out in the next 4 days. Otherwise, government shuts down. But they should take a break before that. Really makes me feel good as a taxpayer. But anyways, don't let me get too negative. Volatility got completely crushed, something I haven't seen this dramatic in a long time. You had the gap down, finished the day basically at its worst levels at 1080, down 25% at $3.80 on the loss side. You saw the dollar continue to get pounded. Did come off of its worst levels, but trading under that psychological 100, trading at 99.04. So it did finish the day above 99, but it is right at that 200-day moving average. As a matter of fact, it settled a little bit below that. Dollar bulls clearly on their heels, both on the short, intermediate, and long-term side. Taking a look at the crude markets look like they want to challenge their 200-day moving average. They finished the day at 49.19 on the crude contract, down 44 cents. It looks like we could get a challenge here of that 200-day moving average on crude, 48.88, which then will pull back into the 48 range, $46, and then potentially 44 if we continue to see pressure. Now, one would say, what's going to be the catalyst for that? Watch the inventories number, watch the data coming out both on the economic data and the earnings. We have new home sales and Congress is back in action. Bottom line is that with 4 days to pass the spending bill, and the fact that Trump has been saying that he wants a 15% corporate tax rate. He also says that he wants the spending bill to have the wall built into it so that it is basically paid for by whom? Yours truly and everyone out there watching right now. Taking a look at the Brent contract, which is primarily pumped out of the Middle East, that was off 103. That is actually off almost 2.2% at 1.94%. Watch this contract. Again, challenging its 200-day moving average. Next level of support on Brent is going to be at $48. That could be extremely negative for the Middle East. We'll see if if they're going to continue to adhere to their pumping restrictions, and especially as we get closer to the end of that June cycle, when that agreement on the OPEC and non-OPEC nations continuing not to pump out of the ground more quantities to try to take advantage of these heightened levels. Taking a look at the bonds, got crushed on the price side. The 2-year, the 10-year, and the 30-year all were down pretty significantly on the price end. But one thing that I want to point out, the yield on the 10-year, as I scroll down, taking a look at the 10-year yield, coming in at 2.275. This is significant because it did not get above the 2.3 level. This is a critical level for the 10-year yield to get over if yield bulls, not price bulls or bulls in bonds, but yield bulls, where they think that the anticipation of higher yields are going to occur. You need to get over that level. A break of the 230 will then get that yield. In other words, prices coming down in bonds. That means that the trade that we have been seeing basically since March of this year, where bonds were still being bid up, unless we can get over that 230 mark in the 10-year, it's going to be very difficult to say that bond bulls have been shaken to their core. We want to see a challenge of 230, and then next you're going to want to see a challenge of 236 on the yield side for the 10-year. That will tell you that this protectionist trade is really starting to unwind, and that could be a benefit for equities. But until then, still very tepid on that, especially since we have no tax reform, no health care, we have no spending bill, and I live in a state that hasn't had a budget for 2.5 years. So I'm telling you folks, while everyone asks all of us to continue to pay our bills and be good corporate stewards, we're really not seeing that the government's adhering to their end of the bargain. Let's see what happens. I think some volatility could be on the forefront, so stay tuned. All right, folks, that is it for the closing bell. Please join me tomorrow morning. I'm going to be covering all the overnight action. Let's see if this bid actually sticks in Asia. See you then. Take care.